Hey guys, it's Nelson from the Ngage group. So I wanted to take a minute today. Someone asked me the other day and they said, so why is it, Nelson, that cap rates seem to be getting lower and lower? And that's a great question. And the fundamentals of understanding cap rates is knowing that first off, a cap rate is, if you're not sure of the formula to use, you want to divide the net operating income of the building. So that's really what's left of the income when you deduct all of the expenses except the mortgage or the financing. So you deduct all of the insurance charges, the taxes, the utility fees, the management, the maintenance, the vacancy, take all of those expenses out and any other expenses that may be involved in the building. What's left over is your net operating income. And then you divide that by the purchase price and you get yourself a cap rate. So in my local environment where we live right now, we're seeing generally between 4% cap rates and 12% cap rates. So that's sort of the spreads. When you're buying something with what's called a 4% cap rate, you're generally getting a building that's fully occupied, fully renovated, turnkey, everything's humming along very nicely, but it's producing a very low amount of cash flow. So there's a very small amount of return coming from the building. That'll be generally in a really good neighborhood. You're gonna get something like that. When you're buying something that's at a 12% cap rate, you're gonna be getting a building that produces a lot more income, but it also potentially produces headaches, maintenance issues, tenant turnover, management problems. So that's gonna be something that's maybe in a C- or a D neighborhood. Lots of turnaround, drugs, prostitution, graffiti, vandalism, crime, high crime. You're gonna find those types of cap rates in those neighborhoods. It's probably not a building that's been renovated yet. And then you have everything in between those two numbers. So back to the question about why do cap rates seem to be shrinking lately? Well, what's been happening is the real estate market has been growing continuously year over year over year. And we're seeing that we're getting to a place where as the real estate prices increase, rents haven't been keeping up at their pace. So the buildings aren't producing quite as much as they used to produce, and that's why we're seeing some lower cap rates. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that real estate is increasing in value, therefore less people are able to afford, therefore more people start renting, and then the cycle brings us back because then rent starts going up because there's more demand for rent, so the price of rent increases. Whenever there's a big demand for something and the supply goes down, what happens to the price? It comes up. So this cycle is happening as we're seeing more and more people finding purchasing a home less affordable with all of the mortgage rules that are coming into place sort of to regulate Toronto and Vancouver. We're in the middle, but it seems to be happening here as well. We're still subject to those same rules and the tightening up on lending. So what we're gonna see eventually is rents are gonna be coming up and then those cap rates are gonna start expanding a little bit more because there'll be more revenue coming in from the buildings that are already existing. So the question is, what should you be buying as a cap rate? Well, ultimately it comes down to the numbers. What is the building's yield? You can look at cap rates as a general rule to give you an idea of if you wanna buy a building or not, but at the end of the day, you should be doing your due diligence, calculating all of the numbers, and making sure that you're happy with the cash flow that the building produces at the end and what the building's yield is. So that's my take on cap rates, guys, and what's been happening lately. If you have any other questions, please put them down below in the comments. Like, click, subscribe, really appreciate that support. And until next time, this is Nelson Camp saying, take charge of tomorrow.